Hello, everybody. Welcome to Truth Proof, and hope you've all had a good weekend and extra day off work for most people, I think, isn't it? How are you doing, Les? All right?
Yeah. And I've been working on a ghost story that I filmed over the weekend
Nice one.
with a boat owner who I know who had a good little ghost story. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that myself, Paul.
You were happy enough to talk about it, yeah?
Yeah. And I've got the photo to back up everything. I've got the original photographer's name. And so it's not the smoking gun of ghostly activities, but it's a good little story.
Brilliant. That's good. So, hope everybody's well. We've had no rain today here in Bridlington, so that's got to be good. And I think even despite a bank holiday, a Sunday, I thought everybody would be out and about. We've got going on for 100 people here. So, Steve Collin, Andrew Wild. I don't think I've seen Andrew Wild. Jackson, Jack Hills, Steve-O, Jan and Andrew. Let's have a look down. Farrell, Carl, Dan, Tom Waters. Oh, yeah, let's have a look. Peter Armstrong, Zero Dawn. I think I saw Linny in earlier. Dragonborn's in. Mia Girl, Mrs. Linny, Ian. Let's have a look. Karen Berman. Yeah, brilliant. And thanks, guys. As always, Margaret Webster, Denise Fox. Stop, Paul. So where are we going with this? I've got to do that.
Yeah, well, thanks to Lee for moderating tonight. I can't see Alison in yet, but I could have missed her. But thanks, Lee, for coming in. I don't know. Well, I've got a little bit of a talking point because in one of the streams that we did, we mentioned the Colombian booger ball.
Is that the real name for it, Les?
Well, how you pronounce it is probably it's Buga. So pronounce it how you like. Really.
Oh, booger.
Yeah, and people did mention what we thought of it, and we kind of had no knowledge at that period. I just done some digging around, and actually, and if people forgive the pun on the ball with this one, then you'll have known that they've actually seen inside what's in this ball, and of course, it's got strange hieroglyphics or wording on the front and designs and what have you, and they're trying to decipher all those as well. But what's inside the ball, it reveals, because if anybody goes online, they'll probably see this. It kind of sort of like shows you a matrix of dots, and it's got layers, outer shell layer, inner shell, and these strange dots, which some people
have they seen inside it, Les? Have they x-rayed it because they can't open
it? Yeah. I think there's a video online. In fact, I've got it in front of me, but I can't show it for reasons that we can't show it. Like,
yeah, that's fair enough. Because you said to me earlier before we went on, you said they've seen inside it. I thought, and then you went, but they can't.
Yeah, no, they've seen inside it. Yeah, they've seen inside it, and they've seen these strange, quantum computers, they reckon, inside there.
Yeah, they say all sorts, though, don't they? I'm not saying this.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking from the outside, you're looking in.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you come to that conclusion that it's some kind of quantum physics, computers, whatever?
Time will tell, won't it, I guess? I mean, it's like Jesus on a piece of toast. It could just be as simple as that. But just while I think on, Les, Lee's doing moderating tonight, but Lee, put a link up to your YouTube channel, because you never do, and we've never mentioned it, and maybe you might want other people to gravitate towards it and have a look, because I looked other day and I thought, well, why haven't we mentioned this? Lee's so supportive of us. So there you go. And we've got Chris Burgess. Let's have a look. Let's see who else is in. Yeah, see Mrs. Linney now, and Susan Wiseman. Yeah, Martin Abbas. Good to see you. I hope your head's feeling okay, Martin. You know what I mean. Ivan Stead. And yeah, that's about it. So the ball.
Just to finish on that ball, then, if anybody's got any more info on that, or seen more than what I have or Paul, then please put it in a chat, and we might be able to discuss more on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been an interesting week up on cliffs. And I'm going to deflate it straight away by saying we haven't seen anything, but other people have. Do you know what I mean? It's been interesting. Well, lovely to. I think I touched on it Thursday. I don't know how much detail we went into, but Wendy and Steve came up. Wendy, who went to conference, and as you know, when we walked back, Steve, who was a bit of a skeptic, but a good one, as in there can be good people who are skeptical. Let's face it, providing they're not sarcastic and saying you're deluded, and that's not what he's about. He just sort of questions everything, which is good. But when they came back, and we'll just run over it again, they're walking behind us. I turned around, asked if everything's okay, and I don't know what he said. If he's in chat or Wendy is, let us know. I think he said, I'm just waiting for these or looking at these. And when he turned, there's nobody there. But for about 100 yards, he'd observed some legs walking outside of him in his peripheral, which he thought were one of us, because there's a group of us and it's pitch black. And so that shook him up. So interesting that the guy who's most skeptically minded sees something. Is that telling us something about the phenomena? Because I've no reason to disbelieve him. So let's jump forward now to Friday. And there's myself, Jack, Linny, Pete, and Wendy and Steve. And we're all up there. Decide, same thing, I'm going to come home, had enough of it. Walking along cliff tops. We stopped at the path that goes up to the visitor centre, just scanning torch around and doing what we do. And we'd seen a torch further up towards Speeton when we first set off. And these guys just come out of darkness and caught us up. Well, we're a little bit in front. And I could hear them talking, and I heard this bloke say, I saw, he's seen this. And I thought, I just walked a little bit further. I realised I knew one of them. It was Chris. Not into UFOs at all. He's a fisherman. And he's seen the orange lights, and that's how me and him have become acquainted. So it turns out his best mate, who's skeptical, never seen anything, just like the fella on Wednesday, never seen anything before, went up there with him on Friday night, and they went up towards Trig Point at Speeton, where it cliffs at highest, and then started to walk back. When they get to, there's like a little junction, a little right-hand turn where you can go down towards Buckton. When they got there, they stopped, and his mate, and Chris was looking out to sea, and his mate saw something, and about 100 yards in front, on the ground, and he was shaking. And he, if he's listening to this, he'll know what I mean, because I'm not being sort of joking with him or condescending. He was shaking, and he's saying, I can't even believe I'm saying this. He said, at 45 degrees, two lines came out at ground, quite big. I don't know, about 6-7 foot in air, like a pyramid, and then it just filled in with blue light. He said that looked like Amorite paint, as you know when you see it sparkling. Or oily. He says, and it was blue, and it was there for about a second and disappeared, and then did it again. And obviously, the other lad didn't see it. But what's all that about? Just when you think you've heard everything that's to hear up there, you get one like that. And it really has shook him up. And when I spoke to Chris this morning, he's been up there again on his own. Well, with his partner, not with Chris. It's sort of... He just can't work it out. So what's Wendy saying? No, she's just speaking to somebody there. But so she got to it story, and it's interesting, isn't it? You know, that's this location. I'd say we went up there all last week, nothing. But two other people, two that were unconnected to us because they were on their own. And then, Wendy and Steve come, and he has a weird experience. How many people are experiencing and seeing this kind of stuff and never saying a word?
Well, yeah, because that's a kind of a unique description, isn't it? Looking like Hammerite paint, and
yeah, absolutely. And he filled it in with that description.
Yeah.
And it struck me that it was 2019, and some people will have heard me on about this. And Rick, PJ, and Craig came to Cliff Tops. They were going to do an all-nighter, and myself and Bob Brown went to meet them. We left. They walked up path with us, and as we were walking up path, in the field to right-hand side, that red light just punched out at ground. You know what I mean? And it almost looked like a wire basket. It was weird. It come out real hard, real fast, and sort of angry looking, and then dissipated. And it took a few seconds to disappear. But I know that's not the same as what he's described, but a blue pyramid. It's just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And you can see why it's addictive going to these locations. And people say, well, I go up there and I never see out. Well, we went up. We never saw out. We've been up for weeks and not seen out. You can go for months and not see out. But then it happens. Give us some idea what you think, please, people, in chat, because I've not heard of anything like that one.
No, Really odd, that one. Yeah. So if
Yeah.
you've got any questions, please put it in the chat, or any topics we can probably touch on, put it in
Yep.
the chat as well. And I
Because
think
I've just worn up what I'm talking about. I've just worn it out now. I've just done it.
you're worn it out. Yeah. And I think Lee is saying hit the like button while you're waiting, and remember to
Right.
share.
Well, it's not in capitals, but Chris Max in chat who were there.
Mhm.
Let's have a look. He's saying to Wendy, he never stopped talking about it all the way home. Yeah, and I don't know whether he's in. I don't know whether he's in chat. Is he, Chris? And I'm assuming he's not. But yeah, really interesting.
Okay, so let's have a look. Somebody was asking me about this orb, whether it was the same as the one at was it Manchester Airport? But I think that was a glowing orb, wasn't it, Paul?
That was kind of luminous, weren't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
no, I don't think it is the same. Just to answer that question. And right then, a question from Andrew Wild. A question for Paul: have you had any more sightings of dogmen in Danesdyke?
Is that? Oh well, it don't matter. You don't put question up. Does it matter?
Sorry, there it goes. Yeah.
Not personally, Andrew, but the lady a few weeks ago with her friend, I don't know what you'd call it, what she saw. She said it looked like a wolf, only longer. And that were literally as they put the car headlights on that shoot out into woodland, and it were there in opening. So that's an interesting one. And then I'm once again, I'm repeating myself, but as I walked around with it next day, as she's telling me, or a couple of days later, she's telling me about what she'd seen. We bumped into the guy, Michael, who was actually in area today because he messaged me. It's having another look round. That's how it gets people. And he'd had his own sighting. And here's where it becomes fascinating for me. I got a report on October the 20th, 2020, and October the 20th, 2019. I don't know which way around it is. One was the guy who was walking through the dike and went to the bus stop and saw something as he stood at bus stop at 5:10. The other one was early hours at morning with the guy on the invalidity scooter, right? Michael made all notes of his sighting the next day. Drawings and everything, which he sent me. October the 19th, 2019. That's the day before these other people.
Wow.
There's too much of a coincidence for this not to be a reality to this.
Yeah, and really, is there such a thing as coincidences, Paul? You know.
Well, I've just done a radio show about half an hour before I come on here, and so we'll put some links up to that, guys. When he puts it out, it were a pre-recorded one. And we were on about coincidences then, and this fella's of the opinion that the unexplained phenomena is part of AI, and I've been sort of alluding to as much myself, or just throwing ideas about. And somebody in chat, for last short that we put up, that says, "Do you ever actually come up with any conclusions?" No, because I don't know. All we do is just kick ideas around. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, and funny enough, it's kind of related but not related. You just touched on AI, and in the UK, there's big plans to build these big, massive UI data centers,
Right?
and
UI.
AI, I should say,
Yeah.
AI data centers, right? But I think the problem being, and I don't know, people can look this up if they like. The problem being is that these data centers take massive amounts of cooling because they're all supercomputers.
What are we going to do? Do them underwater?
Well, they're going to. People are fearing in areas around the country that there's going to be water shortages because the AI will be given precedence over any household water supplies. Because AI has got to keep running.
Right.
Yeah. And just another note, I think another country I just can't think offhand, but what they do with their cooling is they put it in a big bathysphere type thing, and they put it in the ocean, and that's how they cool all the AI stuff in there.
I see. There's a question there, Les, but it's not in capitals. Whitley Strieber has recently talked about seeing into other worlds where extinct species can be seen. Has he seen that himself? Could the Yorkshire hotspots be areas where slips between worlds or times happen? Well, I suppose Harry Cole. Thanks, Harry. I don't know. What do you think, Les?
Sorry, I was just looking for a different question.
No, it's all right. I spoke to Whitley Strieber yesterday, so and I'm going to do it. I am doing in week, so I'm going to ask him that.
So what's this, Liam? This came up by accident. Yeah, hi, Paul and Les. Might be one for Maeve on Thursday. Well, we've just got something to say on Maeve. Actually, we just got to reschedule that Maeve one.
Maeve may be June, Liam, but she's definitely coming on. But we'll know better later tonight or tomorrow. Have you ever received any reports of the Fae in Whitby? The Panet Park elves are very intriguing. No, I haven't, Liam, but that's fascinating, isn't it? Seriously, I love stories about the Fae. I never thought I'd be interested in out like that, but I really am. And if you've got some stories or any experiences you want to share, Liam, let us know.
Okay, Martin Abbas. Paul, any thoughts about how cryptids might change, or are they always in the cryptid form and they only make us see them as human when they realise they are being watched?
See them as human when we see them as human when we realise they've been watched. I don't know, Martin. I mean, the question before, talking about the Fae, was kind of thrown that about. Let's assume the Fae are a reality, these elemental beings that are tied to Earth. And we talked about it other week, and somebody goes into the woodland or their habitat where they've resided for thousands of years and starts chopping trees down and leaving litter and rubbish. And if these things can change and present as other things, what if they're the cryptids all along? I don't know, but I really don't know. I don't know. We talked about the cryptids, Martin, other day, didn't we? And we both firmly of the agreement that if these things are real, which I think they are, then there's nothing like lycanthropy taking place. This change in bone structure and everything. To me, that's just impossible. So is it an illusion? I think it was Martin that said, is it some kind of illusion? You correct me if I'm wrong there, Martin, but only make us see them as human when they realise they are being watched. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I don't know. I mean, the cryptid phenomena as a whole, it's probably hardest of all the subjects of unexplained phenomena, if we can term it as that, to get your head around. It's the stuff of nightmare, really. It truly is.
Lisa is saying the beings I see look like ghosts.
Really? But do they look like the deceased then, Lisa? I guess that's what you're saying. People just in like almost smoky, shadowy, tracing-like form, or do they look full form, colours and all?
Okay, and Steve 071, Paul and Les, is there any piece of equipment you think has the best chance of capturing evidence?
What do you think, Les? First, go on.
I think anything photography-wise, anything audio capturing-wise. So really, it's the full gambit of everything what's out there, in my opinion. There's no one thing, because everything does an individual, captures individual things.
What I think, and it might sound a bit, I don't know, like in at deep end, making excuses for not being able to capture it, but I think it knows everything. What we're looking into, it's got to be the most elusive thing on the planet. I won't say in the world, because nobody seems to be able to capture any solid evidence of it. Yet it captures us all unawares all of the time. But I mean, look at the thermal equipment, and obviously we're able to capture things in thermal that we can't see with naked eye or see through even a low light camera. So that's got to be good. But I think it's when you do something quite by chance, without a lot of thought, so you're not putting that thought out there, that you capture these things. It's too late for what I'm about to say, because I mentioned the other day that I'd just got some audio recorders, some recording devices that will record in what do they call it, voice activated, and they've got a battery life, a monster battery life, and they record for 500 hours. Sorry, they can last for, that's a long time, isn't it? We'll see whether it put it to test. It probably won't be that. It's probably half that, but it's still a long time. So they just get left out, in some waterproof packaging and just left because they're only small. But
well, they'd be good for an all-nighter camp out, wouldn't they? Really?
They would, yeah, but they'd be best left for days. Just left just doing what they're doing, woodland. Because when Heidi and Jenny came through to the area and stayed in that cottage overlooking that woodland, they heard some horrible, unearthly howling and screaming. And remember, I do know though, people, that if you're not used to being out in the wilds, a fox can sound horrible. A couple of badgers fighting sounds absolutely horrific. So there's 1,001 things that it could have been before we start talking about the unexplained. But it's interesting. We get some of this equipment put out there and see what we can record. I was sent 2 recordings, weren't I, Les? I don't even know if you've heard them. One from Cannock Chase, this guy that said this thing were pacing him as he's walking on a lower part and it's on the hill above, and it started making these ungodly howls. And then all of us, he decided to record, so he's got a few bars of that. And one from Danesdyke, probably the day before or the day after this lady saw that thing in Danesdyke. So there we go. And I've just sent them. I spoke to Ron Moorhead, and Ron gave me some information to send the recordings to the Olympic Project in America because they'll analyze the sounds. And I've heard nothing back yet, guys. If anybody asked me about that, I haven't.
Dragonborn is asking, would you consider Ben from 401 Files as a guest?
No. Is there any more questions?
Oh, yes. Let's have a look. Paul, I've witnessed blue lines, mists, moving beings that are see-through, etc. I've seen loads.
That's fabulous, isn't it? You know, blue lines, mists that are moving, beings that are see-through. The beings that are see-through, I can see where you're thinking, you know, these things are ghosts, and you've seen loads of them. I'm kind of asking you questions, Lisa, and I realise you can't just answer because you're not there. But are these around your home or out in some kind of specific area? But the blue lines, that's interesting. Moving mists, all of them things I suppose people have seen. But the blue lines, I mean, we just talked about 2 blue lines coming out of the ground and then filling in and forming this metallic paint type substance.
Sound. Looking forward to hearing what you'll find out about a weird sound at Danesdyke.
There you go, Simon. Yeah, and thank you. Yeah, so you've just heard me say that I've sent it, and it was ironic when Simon asked me other week about the strange occurrence at Danesdyke, because I'd had a few reports. I couldn't remember whether Simon's was the sound, and I did afterwards, and I think I messaged you, didn't I? But it's the strangest sound. It really is. But I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys if they get back to me at the Olympic Project think of it, because they're analysing the Sasquatch and all sorts of cryptid type sounds.
Okay. So look, is it possible, said Zayford Babel Brooks, is it possible that orbs create crop circles?
I don't know. I think there was some video out probably in 80s or 90s that's supposed to depict an orb moving up around a crop circle and or moving around the crop and forming a crop circle. But whether it were genuine or not, I don't know. I suppose that's possible.
It was definitely debunked, that one.
What it debunked, Les? There you go.
In the 90s, yeah.
What it?
Yeah. So, Paranormal Coffee Lounge. You guys seen the latest episode on Professor Simon's channel with the gate guard witness from 1978 saying things were happening?
No, and I'm sorry, Terry, because I don't know what the gate guard witness is. Are we? So where is this? Are we
talking Rendlesham or
are we talking RFI? I think we might be. You know, and
78.
Somebody we're trying to get on show, guys, as well as John Burrows, and he dropped me some information today. So he's not booked, but I'll read information he sent me and have a look at seeing if we can get him on live stream. And if anybody doesn't know, John Burrows was one of the military personnel that went out into the forest in 1980 during the height of all these strange activities.
John and Andrew are saying something to do with the state of mind or being open. I saw a teenager walking across Kingswood. I was driving. He just disappeared.
It's wicked, that, isn't it? Absolutely, you know. And I were only talking to someone other day. There's a guy I know who used to own a house on Tennyson Avenue, which is probably 200 yards from where I live, and the house is haunted. Without a doubt, if a place is haunted, that place is. And the guy I used to work with owned it after he'd owned it. And I'd not bumped into this fella for years. And I asked him, I said, anything strange ever happening in your house that you owned on Tennyson? And he said, no, which were great. Good to know. He'd never experienced anything. And I told him that Chris, who I used to work with, had heard the children running about and giggling and laughing. And the new occupants have heard it because I've asked them. And our two girls, Jess and Laura, used to babysit for them, and they'd heard them. So where am I going with this? Because it has to apply to this question. I said, can you remember this guy, Pete, who used to work at Boynton Hall? And I remember talking to him years and years ago when I were playing snooker one night. Never any good at snooker, by the way. But I was playing snooker one night, and he told me this story of walking towards Ebor Flats in Bridlington during the night with his wife when he was a lot younger man. They'd been out, I think, to a club. And there's a man walking towards him with what looked like a full face helmet on, black helmet. But unusually, a donkey jacket, you know, like a miner would wear. And he walks towards them in the night and just disappears, just vanishes, because people were laughing at him. It was a guy called Eric. He says, tell him about that bloke with donkey jacket on that disappeared. And this bloke was just straight John Bull. You know, he was housekeeper at Boynton Hall. That's what he was, you know, big stately home. And I bumped into him a few years ago. And he's now in his 80s, and he were in Driffield, and we stood talking. And I asked him, do you remember telling me? Oh, yeah. He says, and that's what I saw. So just disappearing. It's crazy.
Yeah, and we also put a short out about the story that you got from a young boy walking along the beach who had a figure walking towards him. And did it just disappear?
Pixelated, yeah. He said it just looked like it pixelated and disappeared. And walking along the beach, and he stood up, not to waved to this figure, stood up because he'd not got cramp, but he just wanted to just stretch his legs. He'd been squatted down, sheltering from cold. People will have heard us talking about. I see Jessica's in. Oh, you're doing moderating, Jess? Yeah, thanks a lot. That's me. My other daughter. She fell out with me today, didn't you, Jess? Yeah, a little bit. We don't fall out much, but she weren't happy with me.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, it's not
moving on.
Everybody would laugh if I told them. I'm not going to tell them, but everybody would laugh anyhow because it weren't a fallout. That's why I said it.
Declan Walsh, Professor Simon mentions a Farley radar station and their response to someone reporting a red orb. They say they're aware of UAPs and don't see them as a threat.
Yeah, somebody sent me a link today, Declan, and I haven't looked at it yet about that. Said, are you going to look at that and look at what RF Fylingdale said? But they're acknowledging the presence of an unknown. It's an admission, really, isn't it? It's got to be. They're aware of UAPs and don't see them as a threat. So we're over one of the most sensitive military bases. One.
Isn't that the tagline they've been saying for decades now?
Yeah, no defense significance. But whatever it is, what if another nation, another superpower develops something that looks a little bit like them?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a Trojan horse, isn't it? It just comes in. They don't see us as a threat. But we are, and it's too late. You know, surely anything that penetrates airspace around one of the most sensitive military installations in United Kingdom must be some kind of threat. It'd be a threat to, I think, anyway. You can't fly drones around there. It's a no-fly zone for drones. So why wouldn't they perceive that as a threat?
Well, that's it. And I think this is me personally. I think what any government agency says, be it MOD or any part of the government, whatever they say, the inversion of that statement is true. In other words, it is a significant threat.
Absolutely.
That's how I read it.
I hear Jess, she says, we're best friends, really. Thanks, Jess. I love you too.
A question for me. Do you believe our own unique consciousness lives on after our body dies? Hard one, isn't it? Not I've been through the process myself and not remembering any processes. I suppose people who claim to have come back and reincarnated into another body, I suppose that's kind of counting as some consciousness living on, because obviously they have past memories. I don't know. Do I believe in it? Probably. I would edge my bets that way. Yeah.
I think we probably all cling to the weak, well, not the weak, the hope that there's something else after this. And if people are seeing ghosts, then it's obvious that there is something else, unless it's just the essence, a tracing of the past that's trapped in time somehow. But you know, there's loads and loads of people. I would like to get. I wonder if they did a poll, how many people, adults would say, not kids and that, would say that they've actually seen a ghost. I bet you'd find that vast majority of people have seen a ghost. So that there is something, and then you've got these people who have died and then been brought back to life, and then they've said, or in some instances, it was just blackness. So they're conscious of something. So they've died and they're aware that it's blackness. So there's got to be something, even if it's blackness. Something's lived on.
Yeah, because there's something triggering these memories. I mean, they're not just plucking memories out of thin air and saying, well, I've died and this is where I've been and I was in this body or that body. Something, specific must be, as in consciousness, must be entering them.
Well, we ought to have asked him that question, Alex Thompson. I'd only just seen it with you, Alex, that's asked it. Alex is very interested in all things like this, aren't you, mate?
Well, that's a good one, that one. Right then, Jojo, Paul, do you recall the 2 dates we had? The Howling, December the 16th, 2020 and 2021, Flamborough, just before midnight.
Do you know, Jojo, you've just given me another piece of the puzzle. That is brilliant. And you'll recall then, Jojo, that me, Sarah, my eldest daughter, and Amanda went into that bit of woodland where you'd heard it, because Jojo used to live a short distance away from woodland.
Yeah.
And long before we reported these things, she got in touch to say, well, before I'd talked about them, that they had their windows open. I think that's right, Jojo, isn't it? And you'd heard this ungodly, terrible howling. And 16th of December, 2020 and 2021. And we went in there, didn't we? And had a little sort of walk around. There was nothing untoward happened or heard. We went in there it must have been 20. I think we went in there in December 16th, 2023. So I know it's a few years later. I probably weren't brave enough to go be there before then. I don't know.
Okay, and
but Jojo, sorry, Les, I thought it were October that you'd said, but maybe you're right with December. But that's okay.
Michael Temple, Paul, you texted me just as I got to the very spot at Dana's Dyke today. Coincidence?
Well, that's crazy, that, Michael. And we've had a full-on day. Else I'd have come out and met up with you. And I hope you've had a good day. So, just out of interest, we talked about the lady who saw the wolf-type creature that she saw with a friend in Danesdyke a few weeks ago. This is the guy. October the 19th, 2019. I'm right, Michael, I think, aren't I? And you've been there again, because it's that, and you've travelled a good distance, I might add, because that's how it gets into people's minds. And I love it because it's not just me talking. The actual witness is kind of stepping forward as well. So thank you.
And Paranormal is putting me right by saying, I don't think I said Rendlesham in my question. No, I kind of just attributed that to myself. I didn't know which situation or event you was talking about.
No, but and Paranormal Coffee Lounge, I think he's starting his own podcast shortly, so we'll give that a bit of support as well, because there's a fella that always supports us.
Okay, our moderator Lee is asking a question. 1992 account of Raymond Jackson. Any updates, Paul?
Right, Raymond Jackson.
Raymond Jackson.
No, it's Johnson. Raymond Johnson, okay. Not Jackson. No updates. I've got some more newspaper articles from a different area, and which it doesn't confuse story, but it just throws a little bit more light on it. But no updates. some of these cases are so interesting and detailed that you could spend months and months on them. To be honest, I looked into this one, and this is the guy that ran up Bempton Lane in 1992 and stripped all his clothes off, and was allegedly found at the entrance to a farm with terrible injuries, absolutely terrible injuries. And they assumed that he'd been hit with a vehicle with bull bars, but I think he'd broken his collarbone, his shoulder blade, internal injuries, massive trauma to his head. He weren't at the entrance of the farm, he were under the bathroom window. And there's a lot more to it. It's a tragedy, isn't it? Let's face it, but it's no less fascinating circumstances there. It's weird. No updates.
No updates on that one. Stephen Collin is saying the hob hole of Runswick Bay in the cliffs was said to house the Hobbs jet diggers. Hobbs jet diggers were afraid to go near it.
Yeah. So the jet diggers, the people that are digging the Whitby jet, and which they carve into jewelry, don't they? To me, it's the most unattractive jewelry in the world, but it became very, very popular when Queen Victoria's husband died because she wore Whitby jet. So basically the guys or the men and women who sort of harvested the jet then were afraid to go near Hobbs Hole. They're not named places like that for no reason. I wonder if in recent times, because these are ancient folklore type stories about Hobbs Hole, I wonder if in recent times we've got any stories from anybody know anyone up around that area that says they've seen something like that, Hobbs or goblins. It'd be fascinating.
Paranormal Coffee Lounge is saying, going to play with the psionics later in the garden. I had not a chance to look at it yet, but it's a properly good bit of kit.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they are good, Terry. You can't sort of knock them. Well, you can, in a way, because when I'm looking at orange lights, they're white. I wish they'd depict the right colour, but you can't have everything, because at least you can see these things, whereas with some a lot more expensive cameras, you can't.
How long do the batteries last there, Paul?
Not long.
No.
I think you'd be okay 45 minutes recording time, but it's not a great deal of time. But they're not that expensive. I don't think, the batteries, so it might be easy. I've got 2, and I've never needed to use 2. If you're filming unexplained phenomena, you're lucky if you can see it for 2 or 3 minutes, aren't you? So, there's usually enough time with these batteries.
Well, Lisa was saying she sent you a pic of a bean tonight. Show it. Can you show it?
Well, if I can send it to Les. Where you sent it, Lisa? If not, we'll show it next Sunday. But that might be better, because if I go out of here, you know what I'm like, Les, I'll end up all over the place. Sorry, Lisa.
You'll end up closing the show down, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll leave that one, and we'll probably show it next week. Lisa, as Paul says, Jonathan Chapman, do you think analog devices are better for capturing the phenomenon? Some say digital devices are easily manipulated by the phenomenon.
Do you know, I don't know. I could tell you a quirky little story. I'm not sure if I've told Les. I think I might have told Chris, and I've definitely told it Jay Matthews at the conference last week, which Les went to with me, Mary, and Linny's wife. Took loads of pictures. Still got them on my phone, but I ain't took them off it yet. But I took over 200 pictures, and took a lot of pictures from side, from back of the audience and everything. And I took one picture. Les is into photography more than me, so he might be able to tell me what's happened here. Everybody's face were clear, crystal clear, good picture. But there's one woman in middle sort of audience, and all the faces all distorted. And I took note at picture. I told Mary at time, and I looked at picture. It's not there now. It's really bugged me. I've looked in pictures to see if it's been uploaded to Summit, or I thought, well, I've not deleted it, and I can't explain it. I told Martin about it as well. Not that it means it don't mean nothing. I'm talking about a picture I can't show anybody, but you've just done about manipulating devices by the phenomenon, AI, the images that go up into the cloud. I don't know, but it's not there now. So if you took a picture, Les, and you've got, I don't know, 50 faces all facing that way, all pretty clear, and then you've got one in middle, and people either side are all clear, and it's all morphed and displaced. How does that work?
I can't explain that one. That's
I can't.
very.
I ain't got the
I mean, it's
picture.
not even camera movement really, because all the
No,
faces
because
would
they'd
be
all
blurred.
be motion blur, wouldn't they?
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
it would. Yeah. So no, that is a strange one. But even more strange is that you can't find the picture again.
Can't find it.
So when you was looking through the picture, I'm just trying to
Did
get.
I delete it? It's possible, human error. I could have deleted it. I could have thought I'm going to name this one, or well, I didn't because I'm useless with phones. So I wouldn't have named it on a. I haven't even took them off phone yet to share with people that I've taken pictures of. But
so you saw it on the phone, and
it's gone.
There's a possibility you might have deleted it.
I could have deleted it, but it's strange. It's the only one that I thought, well, this is odd. This person looks odd.
That is weird. But I'm sure there's a way to get it back if it is still on your phone.
Okay. Do you think analog devices? Let's just stay with that then. I really don't know. I'll tell you what I have noted, Jonathan, and I'm not talking about orbs, dust particles that you get when you put a flash on. I take a picture with flash on in night, or you bang some bed in and you see dust, or near a carpet or anything. Very rarely it's happened. I think it's happened about 3 times for me. Once in Flixton, once at Rendlesham, and it might have happened once or twice on cliff tops. And because I'll take an old Olympus digital camera, charge it up, and I'll just take random pictures, and you get dust particles, but then you get this mist. Just in a few pictures. Have you seen that type of picture, Les? It's really strange. Brenda Butler used to get them in Rendlesham Forest. Yeah. And, Bill Rook, he manages to capture them. We're a lot more accuracy than me. He seems to get them all the time. But I've just had it a few times.
And I know because you've told me you've actually had photos with clear orbs in as well. I don't know, the size of a tennis ball or something like that.
I have, but when you think to yourself, Les, when you don't see them at time, is it just dust close to lens, or do you know what I mean?
Well, I don't think it is because you've been into this, looking into the paranormal all this time, and you've got masses and masses of photographs, and you have took pictures of orbs. Now, I occasionally take pictures prior to get to meeting up with you in 2017. And I was in a stately home and got these orbs. I was in an old place in France, and I got these very orbs on the pictures. If I find them, they'll be displayed on the stream.
Okay. Yeah, well, you will do that, and obviously, Lisa, we will put your picture up. I apologise for not putting it up this week.
Okay, and I think we're getting a little bit of praise from Neil. Hi guys, great channel. Just drove back from Danesdyke this evening. Beautiful place. Thanks, guys.
Oh, I'm glad you've enjoyed it, Neil. And as I say, Michael's been in there, and it looks like he's probably watching this on his phone now because he's spent a day around the area, which is good.
Okay, we'll go back to my other list. Right, I know. Yeah, we've done the. Let's have a look. I pre-read this one. Bumps into the night. I think a lot of the phenomena is connected somehow to military bases. Do you think they experiments on humans, stroke animals, or sometimes it goes wrong, or sometimes it escapes?
I don't know.
That's an intriguing question.
I don't know. It's interesting that a lot of the cryptid sightings are around military bases and former military bases. Plus, I seem to have got reports from around waterworks as well. Water treatment plants, and one up near Menmouth Hill, one in Flixton. And I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I don't know because we'd only be guessing, and it just makes you wonder, doesn't it? And then there's the place where was it up in Scotland, and that young girl who worked at the military base. She worked at aerospace, and there was the military base next to it, and she saw that huge, terrible dogman type creature on the base that morning, and she went home sick and didn't come back to work for a few weeks. We'll have to do that one in more detail, guys, and probably take 5 or 10 minutes to tell, and I'd need a bit of paperwork in front of me really to give you some accurate dates.
Steve 071 is saying, Les and Paul, have you had any Mandela effects? I've had a few bizarre occurrences. I've not had any.
No, I haven't. But Laura, my youngest daughter, who comes in chat occasionally, she said she saw something happen. I think I told you, didn't I, on live stream? Oh, it must be 6 months since now. And she was going to ask about it. She wanted me to, and then for whatever reason, it never got asked. But she said she thought she'd seen something, and then thought we were saying it again. But other than that, no, I haven't.
Here's a good question, Paul. From 1423, have you ever considered sending someone out in a boat off Bempton, go out to different ranges and put up a drone for a size comparison with the orange lights that you see? I suspect the lights are much bigger.
I suspect that they are as well, Fortium, because when you actually see the lights compared to a star, I would, on occasion, I suppose that depends how far away they are. But if they look like they're a long way away, they're still 4 times bigger than a star. But we've seen them like they look like beach balls. But sending somebody out in a boat, I don't think it would be possible. But it'd be quite expensive, and you're not just going to get somebody to go out. It's not like going out onto a pond out there. You've got about 5 riptides, haven't you? It's that area around Flamborough and Bempton. I think I've said it before, has got more shipwrecks than anywhere else in the United Kingdom. And,
and just to put a little bit of context into this, I know you've got a drone which you can hold in your hand. I've got a drone similar, and if you fly that drone from the cliff and you go, say, 100 meters, it's very, very hard to actually see. We know the drones are flat and they're not orbs. We know that. But even then, just that short distance, they're very, very difficult to see.
Yeah. So, although I don't go above 6 foot with my drone.
Yeah.
No. I've got 2 drones now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's for the story.
Okay. But that's my opinion. Well, maybe it's because, I need glasses to see things. Maybe it's that. But I'm sure any people with 20/20 vision would be similar. You would find it very, very difficult, even if you just got 100 yards away.
Yeah. Okay.
Somebody will tell me I'm wrong. I'm sure in the chat. You're way, way out there, Les.
Are the lights you see on the cliffs on ley lines? Do you know the email from the radar MOD base was compiled not to be a problem when repeated on social media. Not to be a problem when repeated on social media. Okay. But are the lights we see on ley lines? I don't know. I don't know. And, do any of us know if they're on, if these lights are on ley lines? Because I wouldn't think so, Janet, for a simple reason. You could see them down towards Flamborough Head, and then within a second you can see them over towards Filey. And I don't know.
Okey-doke.
So there's Laura. Laura, I'm expected to answer me. Did you say that? She can hear me, I suppose. Did you say that you'd seen something like repeated on one of the live streams, probably 6 to 9 months ago? Well, somebody's just asked about the Mandela effect. You don't have to write a book. If you say yeah, I'll speak to you later about it, and we'll talk about it next week.
Okay. Right then. Good question from Zifford Bibelbrox. How come nothing of significance has been recorded on dashcam? If so, I've not seen it. No,
that's a good point. I don't know, but it's a good point. But all I can say is, from our perspective, coming home, I can't remember years, to be honest. One were last year, and one were either early last year or very end of 2023. And I was driving through the village of Bempton. I was just leaving the pond, where the pond is, should I say. Huge flash of orange light in the sky, or red light. I carried on driving because I'd seen it. Pulled over. Ian pulled over. We've got that on his dash cam. It's there. It's not like, as Les mentioned, the smoking gun earlier. It's not the smoking gun of unexplained phenomena. But then, less than 12 months later, same journey, same location. Ian's flashing his lights at me. I pull over. He goes, "Didn't you see it?" And you've heard us talk about this. And I think we played it on one of these Sunday live streams. And Ian saw a huge flash of orange light where he thought my car had blown up. That's a great bit of footage on dash cam. And it's there. Yeah, I think you've seen it, Les, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then there's one that's going to be very, very vague, really vague, because it's not making no claims that there's anything on it. But I think it was maybe 2 weeks ago. It might be a bit longer. Ian was 2 weeks ago, I was driving with Ian and something ran across the road, which we think were on 2 legs, really fast. And I've still not had time to sit down here with Ian, and we're going to put it into the computer and see if we can actually see what it was, put it into some editing program. He's looked at it at home with Elaine, and they can see something, but it's so fast. So that's interesting. I mean, and I know what you're saying, Zephod. We don't see anything, do we? We've not seen any sort of flying saucer hovering in front of a car, or
no, and that's really peculiar when you think about it, because the amount of dash cams on cars now is phenomenal. But I don't know. I mean, obviously, critical points in your recording, you can mark, especially if you've had an incident. Probably automatically mark that. But does anybody actually watch any of the remaining dash cam footage ever? They probably don't, do they?
I agree with you, Les. You'd watch it if there'd been an incident, accident.
Yeah.
But most people aren't like our people in chat. We've got like going on for 300 people in chat. Most people aren't like that, and they're not looking for it. Whereas,
Having said that, I did just do that. This week I looked at all the footage I took from here to the conference in Oldham. Yeah. Really? But I didn't see anything anomalous.
Too much time on your hands, Les. Too much time.
Well, I was looking for something. I don't know what I was looking for.
You didn't drop a pounder out, did you? Don't worry. You're looking for that.
Yeah. It was just blowing over the moors, I think.
So it's a great question, that, and I ain't got an answer for why, because you would think so. We all cameras, on vehicles nowadays, not just cars, lorries, everything. Good question.
That'll probably just incite everybody to go and look at their own footage now, Paul.
So who looks at anything? Everybody walks around blind or with the phones stuck to the face. Oh, and I don't mean you guys in chat. You are, my wife's in and all. Hello, Mary. You don't normally, we don't normally sort of, people are too busy watching TV soaps, aren't they? And concentrating on, I don't know, looking at the phone.
And this is not aimed at you, Paul, but it's a good general advice, and we've all been stung by it. I guess.
Stop breathing her out, does it? All right,
Mr. X, indeed. Every photo I take gets instantly backed up. Advice.
You're a better man than me, Mr. X. I'm terrible. My computer looks like one of our daughter's bedrooms when they used to live here. It looks like a bomb's exploded, and I've got to be careful what I said, because they're both in. 2 of them are in chat.
Okay, let's have a look then.
You can see where they get that tidiness from, though, can't you?
Yeah, Jackson Hill C. Paul. Oh, she was a law enforcement airwoman at the Twin Bases, but was on leave back in the US over the incident period. Over the incident period, said the place freaked her out. Very interesting interview. This is the Scottish account, is it?
No, I think we'll be talking about Rendlesham there.
Oh, right, okay.
I think we are, Jack. I'm pretty sure we will be.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, go on, don't dwell on it, Les. Let's have something else.
Let's have a look then from Jonathan Chapman.
Proof of Heaven is
Dr. Ebden Alexander's book, Proof of Heaven, is an excellent read on his near-death experiences. He'd make a great guest.
Yeah, right. Want to make a note of then, because somebody gave me a guest other day, or a suggestion for a guest, and I'll have to follow that up. And I don't see why not. It's difficult, because we do ask lots of people, and sometimes you don't even get a reply. And
if you do, it's a long time after you've requested, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because we kind of move on a couple of week basis, really, don't we, Paul? We're not that many months in front. Lisa is saying I've seen through animals as well.
Really? Well, when you think about it, Lisa, and this goes for everybody in chat, and I don't think I'm speaking just for myself, but ghosts of animals, why not? I mean, the living sentient things. So if there are such things as ghosts, then yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't be there in spirit.
I've got a question from. Let's have a look. Get through that one. Mark DB. Anything reported recently from Flamborough Head, or is it mainly around the Bempton area?
It's a good point. There's things reported around Flamborough as well. So I wouldn't say recently, but that will come now. You've just said that. It's weird how these things come around. I think the most recent one was the young guy on the motorbike that claimed that this strange animal was stood at side of the road that he couldn't identify in early hours at morning. And that's probably going back a few months. But obviously the ones that we've just got last week were from Bempton. And I just throw it out there again and again. I wonder how many more people are sat on stories that they're just not willing to share. It's a shame, really.
Right. Mr. Darren Lewis, have you tried to interact with the lights with laser pens? Would it be possible to use fireworks to illuminate the sky when they appear?
No, I wouldn't, Darren, simply because we're actually observing from the edge of a bird reserve, and I don't think RSPB would be too impressed with us if we started letting fireworks off. I'm pretty sure about that. And as for laser pens, I don't know. I don't use one because you think to yourself, what if it's some kind of military tech? You've heard of implications of firing laser pens at airborne things of a military nature. I tell you what, there were though on Clifftops. I think it was Friday night. A big fire at one at Farms. I don't know what that does to seabirds. Wind's blowing in the right direction, so it's all going out to sea. So nobody knows, unless you're a bunch of crazy people stood on clifftops looking for strange lights. But bellowing smoke down around seabird colony can't be good.
No, and I kind of warn people from even thinking about that. And one of the reasons is what Paul says. There's a big bird colony there, which you kind of got to respect, obviously. But also they've got CCTV cameras located around there, mainly on the building. But
they're on building.
There could be in other areas as well, which we don't know.
Be, Les, but it's pretty barren up there.
Yeah.
There's a few cameras that look onto the nesting birds, but I don't think there's any poles up unless you get to Thornwick Bay, where there's that big CCTV camera and the guy that I keep trying to entice to open it up to you guys for a small fee, not for me to make any money. Obviously, he's not going to do it for nothing, but you could have 24/7 viewing the skies over Flamborough Head.
Right, that's it with the questions. A bit of self-promotion for the last minute and a half, Paul.
Okay, so as we do every week, truthproof.uk if you want to buy the paperback books. And they're also available on Amazon via Kindle. And if you want the DVD, truthproof.uk once again, the hard copy of this, as I do every week. And if I got an order tonight, it won't be sent Monday, it'll be sent Tuesday, but usually it's the next day. And I do same foot books. And if you any overseas sales, use the eBay link, then we can send them through global shipping. And it just costs us the same as it does UK mainland. And that's about where we're at, really, with the books and everything else. I am writing the second book, the Sub-Universe, but God knows when that'll be done, people, because I just seem to be all over the place. But I'm not complaining. It's good.
Yeah, so thanks, Karen Beeman and Joe Jojo for the monetary donations tonight. All appreciated, as you know. And thank you very much, yeah. And leave the last word with you, Paul.
Well, no, it's been great once again, guys. And if you want to drop a few questions in before chat closes down or suggestions for anything that you want to talk about, maybe even on Thursday, if we were going to speak to Maeve, and I have a feeling we won't be doing, I think it's going to be June. Someone contacted me tonight who myself and Les have interviewed and filmed for the new documentary, and asked me if he could come on and share a little bit of sighting and experience. So I'll just share that with you guys. So we might be doing a little bit of that one. I'll speak to Les about it first and see how he feels, whether that's a Thursday or a Sunday. But any questions before it closes down or suggestions, just fire them into the chat. And as far as I'm concerned, guys, we shall see you on Thursday. Oh, and don't forget, we'll be doing the last transmission live stream on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. Truth Proof Thursday at 7 o'clock. So we'll see you then, guys.